My name is Tara Burke, and this is a video about the electron transport chain. And Dr. Blair, you do have permission to use this video. So let's get started. So basically, the big picture of what the electron transport chain is it is the site of oxidative phosphorylation, which is the last step in cellular respiration. And basically, it's just a series of complexes that transfer electrons from electron donors like NADH and FADH to electron acceptors via redox reactions. And redox reactions are oxidation and reduction reactions which occur simultaneously. And in eukaryotes, like plants and animals, the electron transport chain is located in the organelle mitochondria. But in prokaryotes, like bacteria, they're located directly in the cell membrane. And this electron transport chain is going to pump hydrogens across the cell membrane, and this is going to create an electrochemical proton gradient, which is in turn going to drive the production of ATP. And in aerobic respiration, oxygen is the final electron acceptor. So here's just a simplified version of the electron transport chain. This area is going to be outside of the bacterial cell, and this area is going to be what's occurring on the inside of the bacterial cell. And this is just a simplified version of what the bacterial cell membrane looks like. And these are the different complexes. This is complex 1. This is complex 2, which is also attached to coenzyme Q. Here is complex 3, cytochrome C, and complex 4. So let's look closer into each complex. So this is complex 1, and what it's going to be doing, NADH that is produced in the Krebs cycle is going to feed directly into complex 1. It's going to donate its electrons here, and it'll be converted back to NAD+. And once it does this, complex 1 is going to pump its protons out of the cell membrane into this area. And complex 1 will then donate that electron to coenzyme Q. So complex 2 and coenzyme Q, electrons from FADH, which are also produced in the Krebs cycle, are going to feed directly to complex 2 because it can't transfer its electrons to complex 1. And so complex 2 is not going to be able to pump protons out of the bacterial cell. And so then complex 2 passes its electron to coenzyme Q, which is going to be reduced to form QH2, and this coenzyme Q is going to deliver these electrons to coenzyme 3. So coenzyme 3, or not coenzyme 3, complex 3, once it accepts these electrons from coenzyme Q, it's going to pump more protons out of the cell, and it's going to deliver these electrons to cytochrome C. Cytochrome C is then going to deliver electrons to complex 4, where a final batch of protons is going to be pumped out of the cell. Complex 4 is then going to deliver its electrons to oxygen, the final electron acceptor, which is located inside the cell inside of the cell. And oxygen is going to split into 2 oxygen atoms, and it'll accept protons from inside the cell to form water. And 4 electrons are required to reduce each atom of water, and 2 water molecules are going to be formed in the process. So the last complex is complex 5, or it's also referred to as ATP synthase. And this is a pretty cool mechanism, because all of the protons that were pumped out of the cell are going to flow back into the cell through ATP synthase. And when these protons move back into the cell, it's going to turn this protein, excuse me, it's going to turn the protein kind of like a water turbine. And when they flow through this ATP synthase, the protein is going to change conformations, and it's going to turn, and when it does this, it's going to push ADP and inorganic phosphate together to form ATP. And it will do this in large quantities. Here's a better or more accurate version of what they believe ATP synthase looks like. It has these 2 different regions. This region is located in the cell membrane, and then here's the axle that turns when the protons flow through the membrane. And this subunit is where the ADP and the inorganic phosphate are going to be, this is where they're going to be located. And here is where the conformational change happens to push those 2 different molecules together to produce ATP. And this is just a simplified version of the electron transport chain. And that's all.